Hello universe, welcome to my world. We're still doing Angelina Jordan, and today after 70 videos I'm going to say something I have not said before. The song we're looking at today goes back to Shakespeare's time. Not in the form that we know it, but it's the traditional Old English folk song, and the roots, they reckon, go back to the 16th century. I tried to find a recording from the 16th century, but no can do. So we will have to really start in the 20th century. The song can be traced back from 1933 onward. We're actually going to start in 1938, but we're finishing with the Animals version of House of the Rising Sun in 1964. We'll not be looking at any covers between 1964 until we get to Angelina Jordan's version, which was only this year. The song started very much from the folk tradition, and in 1938 Roy Acuff did a version, which was followed in 1951 by Hallie Wood. And you can hear this is very much a song in the folk tradition. You can also probably say that the first version is more bluegrass than folk.
There is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun.
It has been the ruin of many a poor girl, and me, oh God, I'm one.
Next, we come to three giants of the folk scene in the 20th century: Woody Guthrie, Bob Dylan, and Joan Baez, and there's a thread linking all three. Woody Guthrie was an absolute role model for Bob Dylan. He grew up wanting to be Woody Guthrie, and he made a pilgrimage to the hospital bed at the end of Woody Guthrie's life in New Jersey, and Bob Dylan actually did write a song called A Song to Woody. So we'll hear Woody Guthrie's version first, and then we'll hear Bob Dylan. And then when we reach Joan Baez very early on was very impressed with Bob Dylan, and they toured together, and she was a great promoter of his early career. They were an item together, and she very sharply came up with the title of one of her songs describing their relationship, Diamonds and Rust. We'll hear these three now.
There is a house in New Orleans you call the Rising Sun. It's been the ruin of many a poor soul, and me, oh God, I'm one.
If I had listened to what my mama said, I'd have been at home today. But being so young and foolish, I let gambler lead me astray.
Go tell my baby sister, don't do what I have done, but shun that house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun.
The next two we listen to are blues. Lead Belly is a legendary blues singer, and this version I would call fast blues, maybe with a dash of folk. And then we come to Libby Holman's version. She does it very, very slowly. And this is actually a feature of something Angelina Jordan does with some of her songs. She's just a half second behind when you think she's next going to sing the next word. And this is a very unusual technique, and it actually draws you in. Libby Holman does a very slow blues version. It's quite a contrast between Lead Belly's blues version and Libby Holman.
Way down in New Orleans, house called the Rising Sun, have been the run of a many poor boys, and me, oh God, for one.
There is
Next, we come to the 1960 performance by Miriam Makeba, the South African singer. Following that, we're going to hear Nina Simone, twice. She did one version in 1961, which is a very slow, very moving version. And then the only version we will hear after the Animals was from 1968, and you can hear the massive difference between Nina Simone's 1961 version to her 68 version.
There is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun. It's been the ruin of many a poor girl, and me, oh Lord, is one.
There is a house in New Orleans. They call it the Rising Sun. And it's been the ruin of many a poor girl. And me, oh God, I'm one. There is a house in New Orleans, they call it the Rising Sun. It's been the ruin of many poor girls, and me, oh God, I'm one.
Now, before we reach the Animals version from 1964, we cannot call it the original version, but we can call it the groundbreaking, most famous version. A bit of background. This song, 1964, from the Animals, was actually considered the first moment of folk rock. We had folk before, we had rock and roll before, but this is a fusion, and this song is considered the first one of folk rock. Also, the Animals were in the vanguard of the British invasion. Of course, you had the Beatles, and followed very closely by the Rolling Stones, but then you had wave upon wave. You had the Animals, you had Jerry and the Pacemakers, you had the Dave Clark Five, you had the Hollies and the Kinks, and so it went on. The other thing about this song is that almost all of the songs afterwards are either in a rock tradition or a metal tradition. Very few covers after the Animals stayed within the folk tradition. Let's hear what the Animals did, if you don't already know it.
Is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. In God, I know I'm one.
There's something else about this song. It pretty much was one of the first songs to introduce organ music to pop and contemporary music. As you may or may not know, I do have a weakness for Bach organ fugues, but I also really appreciate organs in rock music and pop music. We have other organ performances, but they're all later than the 1964 Animals. We have Question Mark and the Mysterians, 96 Tears. We have The Doors, Lighting Our Fire. And then we have, of course, Procol Harum, A Whiter Shade of Pale.
Too many teardrops for one heart to be crying. Too
And then nearly 60 years after the Animals, we have a young Miss Angelina Jordan coming along. What can she do that's different? She certainly is not in the folk tradition, and she's certainly not in the metal tradition. She redefines it in her own way. She's in the Angelina Jordan tradition. There are a lot of touch of jazz. My favorite part of this version is the last 10 or 15 seconds, where she just goes into absolute jazz mode, and she dispenses with the lyrics, and she just improvises to show her true jazz origins. This is why we have an Angelina Jordan channel. It's so important I needed to add it to this video. It's subtle, but once it's been pointed out, it's really obvious. Now normally, a lot of the singing voices that we've heard, the line is, "Mother was a tailor." But when Angelina Jordan reaches it, she phrases it differently. Instead of "mother was a tailor," the mother is much longer and the word "was" is much shorter. She's emphasizing the word "mother," which is much more important, and minimizing the word "was," which is so pleasing to the ear because the word "mother" is so much more important to the song than the word "was." She does the same thing with the next line. "Father was a gambling man." Father is accentuated and lengthened, and the word "was" short. It's very subtle. It needs to be pointed out, otherwise you completely miss it. It's very pleasing to the ear, even if it's unconscious, because of the emphasis and the importance and the impact of the lyrics.
There is a house in New Orleans they call the rising sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. And God, I know I'm one. My mother was a tailor. She sewed my new blue jeans. My father was a gambling man down in New Orleans.
She doesn't just knock it out of the park. She knocks it out of the stratosphere into a galaxy we've never heard of. She makes us think of music in a different way. We will continue to think of music in a different way with Angelina Jordan. Okay, gang, I'm out of here. I'll catch you later.